Force majeure clause is part of a contract that describes what happens when something unexpected goes wrong. So, say you are in the business of selling cars and you say that you're going to deliver 1,000 cars a month to someone else. And then something like totally wild and unexpected happens. Hurricane, earthquake, war, power outage, ice storm, something like that. And you just can't deliver your 1,000 cars. But your contract says you got to deliver 1,000 cars a month. Well, if you have a force majeure clause in your contract, it can save you in that situation. So a force majeure clause says that in the event of one of these things occurring, then some stuff happens. And that stuff is generally like a pause in your obligations to deliver. But the details here, like other spots in contracts, really matter. There's sort of two important groups of details in force majeure clauses. The first is what constitutes a event of force majeure. So like, do public health emergencies count? Well, interestingly, up until pretty recently, it was pretty rare to see things like pandemics listed as an event of force majeure. But I think as a lot of companies learned over the course of 2020, they could really interfere with your ability to deliver on a contract. So the specific items that are listed as an event of force majeure need to be looked at, right? Like it can't just be like prices went up, or maybe it can, right? Like you just need to look at that. Or like there was a really bad rainstorm. Does that count? Maybe. It just depends what your contract says. So piece number one, what is an event of force majeure? And then piece number two, what happens when there's an event of force majeure? So do you get like a pause? Can the other side cancel? Can the other side cancel after 3 months? Do they have to send a notification to cancel? The details of the remedies on an event of force majeure really count too. So many contracts, especially for delivery of goods and services, have a force majeure clause in them. And if you have a force majeure that like hit you as a supplier or you as a buyer, you need to go through your contracts and find out what they say. The problem is, as always with contracts, that like number one, you actually do have to look at what they say. You cannot assume that every force majeure clause is the same because they're not. So you got to go through and you got to find them. And if you have a lot of suppliers and something bad has happened, then you need to go through all those contracts quickly, sometimes in stressful situations. Some companies pre-prepare for this by capturing that information in advance, but some companies don't, and they just need to figure it out on the fly. So if you are in a situation where you need to review a whole lot of contracts for force majeure, some good news amidst the bad news of having to deal with force majeure is if you go to this link, it'll take you to a tool that uses AI to automatically pull force majeure clauses out of contracts, and you can run your contracts through it, and it will find what you're looking for in them. If you're watching this video, it's probably not because of something fun, and I hope you're well. And hopefully this tool will help you a little bit in the midst of a bad situation.